Ever wondered why the cost of living in Florida is skyrocketing? Well, it's a complex issue with roots in several areas, but chief among them are the rapidly rising utility bills. Electricity, water, and other essential services are becoming more expensive, leaving residents struggling to keep their heads above water. Consider this. The cost of utilities in the Sunshine State is already 1% higher than the national average. Now, that might not sound like much at first, but when you multiply that by the number of households and the frequency of these bills, it quickly adds up to a significant financial burden. And it's not just utility bills that are on the rise. Inflation, that insidious economic phenomenon, is also playing its part. As the cost of goods and services increases across the board, Floridians are finding their dollars don't stretch as far as they used to. This is particularly evident when it comes to everyday expenses such as groceries and fuel, which have seen noticeable price hikes. What does this mean for the residents of Florida? Simply put, life is becoming more expensive. The cost of living is outpacing wage growth, and many Floridians are feeling the pinch. They're grappling with how to make ends meet, how to budget for these rising costs, and how to maintain a decent standard of living amidst this financial turbulence. News articles and data from recent studies paint a clear picture. The cost of living in Florida is rising at an alarming rate, and it's not just a temporary blip, but a trend that shows no signs of slowing down. This has serious implications for the people who call Florida home, as well as those considering making the move to this tropical paradise. So what's the fallout of this economic pressure? It's leading to some tough choices. Some residents are having to cut back on non-essentials, while others are being pushed to the point of considering a move to a more affordable state. As a result, many residents are finding it hard to keep up with these rising costs. Inflation, a silent enemy, has been hitting Floridians hard. This economic phenomenon, characterized by a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money, has been significantly impacting the cost of living in the Sunshine State. Consider the costs of everyday items. A loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, a tube of toothpaste. Prices that were once easily manageable have steadily risen over recent years, making the simple act of grocery shopping an exercise in strategic budgeting. But it doesn't stop there. The effects of inflation are far-reaching, touching every aspect of life, from the food on our tables to the roofs over our heads. Utility bills, for instance, have been a particular point of concern. Reports indicate that utilities in Florida are 1% higher than the national average, and these costs are only climbing. The price of electricity, water, and other essentials have been on an upward trajectory, leaving many Floridians grappling with bills that are becoming increasingly difficult to manage. But what does this mean for the average Floridian? Well, in simple terms, it means that the dollar in your pocket isn't stretching as far as it used to. The money that could once comfortably cover your expenses is now barely enough to make ends meet. This is not just about numbers and statistics. This is about real people, real lives. It's about the retiree on a fixed income struggling to keep the lights on. It's about the young family just starting out, grappling with the reality of soaring rent prices. It's about the small business owner wrestling with the rising costs of supplies and services. What we're seeing is a ripple effect, with inflation at the center, pushing costs higher and higher. And as these costs rise, so does the financial pressure on Floridians, leading to a growing sense of frustration and disillusionment. Unfortunately, this rising inflation is causing some residents to consider leaving the Sunshine State. The dream of life in Florida is becoming increasingly overshadowed by the harsh reality of its cost. An unfortunate truth, but a reality nonetheless. Increasing costs and inflation have led some Floridians to make a difficult decision. This decision involves packing up their lives and leaving their beloved state of Florida behind. Picture this, living in a state known for its sunny beaches and vibrant culture, only to have to abandon it due to the escalating cost of living. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the harsh reality for many residents. Let's delve into why this is happening. Firstly, utility bills in Florida have been on a steady climb, and they're currently 1% higher than the national average. This might not sound like a significant difference, but when combined with the ever-increasing costs of other necessities like food, transportation, and healthcare, it paints a rather distressing picture. But the financial strain doesn't stop there. The rising cost of living in Florida is also making it increasingly difficult for residents to keep a roof over their heads. Many are finding it hard to make their mortgage payments, while others struggle to afford rent. The dream of owning a home is slowly slipping away for numerous Floridians, replaced by the nightmare of potential homelessness. This dire situation is echoed in numerous news reports. One article, for instance, highlighted the plight of a family who had to move out of state after they could no longer afford to pay their utility bills and rent. Another report discussed how soaring living costs are driving away young professionals who are essential for driving economic growth and innovation. The saddest part is that these stories are not isolated incidents. They're part of a larger narrative of economic hardship faced by many Floridians. The state that was once a beacon of opportunity and prosperity is now a place where dreams are shattered by the harsh reality of economic instability. So, what can be done? The answer isn't simple. It requires a concerted effort from both the government and private sectors to address these issues, ensuring that Floridians can once again afford to live in their own state. The dream of living in Florida is fading for many due to these high costs. It's a grim reality, but with understanding, awareness, and action, we can hope for a brighter future for the Sunshine State. Once a paradise, Florida is now becoming unaffordable for many Americans. The rising costs of living, particularly the ever-inflating utility bills, have turned the Sunshine State into a place where only a select few can comfortably reside. Let's consider the utility bills. Florida's electricity, water, and other utility bills have been on an upward trajectory for years. According to a report, utilities in Florida are 1% higher than the national average. That might not sound like a lot, but when you factor in the average Floridian's income, it starts to make a significant dent. But it doesn't stop there. Each year the costs keep climbing, leaving many Floridians struggling to keep up. Imagine having to constantly adjust your budget to accommodate the rising costs of basic necessities. It's a harsh reality for many living in the state, and it's not just the utilities. The overall cost of living in Florida has seen a sharp increase over the years. Everything from groceries to healthcare has become more expensive. The cost of housing, too, has skyrocketed, making it challenging for many to afford mortgage payments or rent. These factors combined have made Florida increasingly unaffordable for most Americans. It's a troubling trend considering Florida's reputation as a haven for retirees and a hotspot for tourism. The irony is palpable. While Florida's natural beauty, warm weather, and vibrant culture attract people from all over the country, the state's high cost of living is proving to be a significant deterrent. The consequence? Florida's soaring costs are discouraging many potential new residents. People are thinking twice before deciding to make Florida their home. In the end, the state's high living costs are proving counterproductive to attracting new residents. The situation begs the question: is the cost of living in Florida becoming a luxury that only a few can afford? And if so, what does this mean for the future of the state? Remember, the charm of a place isn't just in its natural beauty or cultural richness, it's also in its ability to provide a comfortable, affordable living for its residents. Sadly, for Florida, that seems to be increasingly out of reach. Florida's high living costs are proving counterproductive to attracting new residents. With the highest utility bills in the nation, what does the future hold for Florida? This is a question we find ourselves grappling with. The Sunshine State, known for its sandy beaches and vibrant nightlife, is facing a grim reality. The cost of living, propelled by staggering utility bills, is casting a shadow over its sunny disposition. As we delve into the implications of these soaring costs, it's clear that the state's future could hang in the balance. The rising expenses aren't just a concern for current residents, they're a red flag for potential movers too. Florida, once a coveted destination for its balmy climate and relaxed lifestyle, may lose its charm amidst these financial pressures. Recent news articles and reports paint a similar picture. A study highlighted in the Miami Herald states that Florida's utility costs are 1% higher than the national average, a figure that might seem trivial, but it adds up. Over a year, that 1% can translate into hundreds of dollars. The Palm Beach Post reports that the escalating costs of electricity, water, and other utilities are driving away residents, the very people who once dreamed of making Florida their home. The state's allure is dimming, replaced by the harsh light of financial realities. The Orlando Sentinel goes a step further, suggesting that these exorbitant costs could deter people from moving to Florida. The state, which has long relied on an influx of new residents for economic growth, could face a slowdown. In the face of these challenges, Florida has to make some tough choices. Will it succeed in curbing these costs? Can it find a way to make living affordable again for its residents? The state's future hinges on its ability to navigate these financial hurdles and maintain its appeal. The future of Florida is a complex tapestry woven with threads of economic challenges and residents' hopes. It's a story that's still unfolding, a narrative that's being written with each passing day. Only time will tell how Florida will navigate these rising costs and maintain its allure for both residents and visitors alike.